Peace and blessing. Rahubat. Bienvenido. Salam. Shalom. On them good greetings. Welcome. Maboika. Maboika. And I want to start off where when it goes, energy flows. So we're still at the area that we call the seeing area, which is that deals with insight and illusions. Okay? We're still here at the seat, the brow. Okay? And awareness, again, a glowing ball of light. And the mind, a vast space with many different areas within it. And remember, you have a mind is like a reservoir. So you have a reservoir of feelings, which is your subconscious mind. Feelings, that mind collects data that creates habitual acts. You know what I'm saying? Your habits are in that lower subconscious. And then you have the heart. It's the mind of the heart, what they call it, the seat of the heart, the mind of the heart. It's the sharing, and then you got the conscious, which is this part right here, the awareness, your perspective, your vision, imagination. It's right here at the center. Because it's where you see the electromagnetic forces. The electromagnetic forces which harnesses in your body, it funnels into your body, and those neurons, those energy, balls of energy, settles in certain areas in your body and reacts with each other and sends neurons throughout the bodies. So how's everyone doing? I'm sorry. So in speaking about this particular center, remember we spoke about it, perspective. Let's talk about perspective. What is perspective? Perception. We all carry these lenses that we wear, a certain perspective in life. You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that your perspective has to match, has to fit in with truth. Remember what we spoke about was the alignment or the what they call the perfectly fitting together neatly as a puzzle. So when you deal with perspective, you have to take many things into account. The many different dimensions, sizes of how things are linearly laid out, mathematical equations. Those are all perspectives, because it gives you a visual and you interpret that visual of what you're actually experiencing when you put through your optic nerve. And we're going to talk about optic nerves. But first, let's talk about the pineal gland. I like to share my screen here. And remember, I'm learning, and we're rediscovering this stuff together. I know this conversation, many people have had this conversation before. What's so important about the pineal gland, and what's important about these conversations that we're having? Well, it's natural nature. It's, again, reiterating the importance of us connecting to the source of it. And this here is the ability for you to visualize the source of it all, to see it. Okay? Let me look this up here 1 second. Is this right? Let me see. I don't know. Is this right? Yeah, here we go. You see that screen? That is the pineal gland, cornorium, or the epiphysis cerebri. It is a small endocrine gland. And we're going to go over that. The endocrine system. There's a system in the brain of what they call the most vertebrates. Now, the pineal gland produces, again, melatonin and a serotonin-derived hormones, which modulates your sleep patterns in both your circadian and seasonal cycle. It secretes this mela meaning, again, dark, this tonic, this dark, this chemistry. And we can go on. It brings up the chemical properties, representations of that, and the serotonin. Now, again, when we speak about mela and the dark, meta or mela, we're talking about blackness. We're talking about the absorption of all the light in the spectrum. All the possibilities of anything that can exist or subsist in darkness. So this is the ability in your mind that secretes this. Remember that the pineal, if you look at the pineal gland, it's like a little mushroom, and it gets erected. And then so it lets out this, and it can have an orgasm experience. Remember the reciprocal of this pineal gland is the sacral. And we're going to go over some of that. You'll see it here. And so it secretes these tonins. You know, it resembles pine clove. Now, what does it do in human? It was described at the seat of the soul. And now, why we say the seat of the soul? Well, this particular perception, visual, is being represented in Kemetic signs with Isis, which represents the throne. She sat on the throne. Is the right that any pharaoh had to sit on the throne comes through the feminine principle, the women. So when you sit on the throne, or you sit on your throne, you see a perspective, an overview of everything around you. That's what the whole idea is about the throne. There's visualization, the throne all around you. 1 second. Yeah. So that's why they call the seat of the soul, the solar energy. This is the seat, this is the throne, because it allows you to, through your optic nerve, to receive images, receive data, right? And so here you have a overview, a perspective, a vision of the overview of where you're sitting on your throne right here. And this is how you balance your intuition with your intellect. You view things. You know, you see these electromagnetic forces at work. You become creative, imaginary, right here. This is what the Pharaoh did. He sat on that throne. He could see, had a perspective, visualization of all what was happening. And he was able to balance by using Ma'at. And he was able to balance what was going on. That was the ability that he had. He was schooled in that ability to have that. So where they say the seat of the throne, the seat of the soul, the solar, and you know, the French again got this and they interpreted, you know, and they named it that by René Descartes. And so it's located at the center of the brain, okay? Now the function is to receive information. Again, it receives information. It views things about the state of the light and the dark cycle of the environment. In other words, the light coming in, and then the dark is the absorption of all that light. So it conveys this information, and then that's how it produces certain hormones. Melatonin. At the same time, the information that you're receiving, you can create your imaginary perspective, your imagination. And imagination is started with what? In darkness. The absorption, all the possibilities that can exist right there in the darkness, they call blackness. The absorption of all the electromagnetic forces, spectrum. And so when you harness this power, they call the power of the black light, some say, when you harness this power, you harness this ability, which is a natural ability to be creative, to be imaginary, to have a certain perspective on things. Now, again, remember that this perspective, this insight can be shadowed, blocked, or it creates a shadow of illusion. That's why perspective is important, but when perspection comes in, you have to distinguish whether it is an illusion or it's in reality and an insight that is real. So a lot of organization, again, is invested in amplifying illusions, like a magician. A magician, and this is the seat where high magic exists, because a magician can utilize illusions, able to manipulate dark spots, blind spots in your eye and your optic nerves, blind spots in your mind, in your environment. You can hide things in your right there in front of you. They can hide certain things right there in front of you. They can elude you, play with your perspective, play with your insight. That's why I study magic in a way, so I can learn about this. And I advise everyone to really pick up a book of magic. Learn about sleight of hand. Learn about what's the whole idea behind this stuff. Because then you could become aware of the illusion, and you could, which is the trickery. But careful, the more you know, the more you're accountable for. But anyway, when you go down and let's read about why is it called the third eye? Well, it's commonly dubbed the third eye for many reasons, including a location deep in the center of the brain and its connection to light. And remember, we're gonna look up optic nerves. The optic nerves of your eyeball, your retina, your eyeballs, it reaches out and it connects with this pineal gland, because the light has to travel. So a mystic, esoteric, spiritual tradition suggests it serves as a metaphysical connection between the physical and the spiritual world. Again, perceiving, looking behind the veil. Looking behind the veil of illusion, perceiving things. And when you deal with spirit, you're dealing with character and personalities. So you're able now to see how character and personality works and how it motivates certain people to do certain things. This is a natural thing that we have. I mean, some people don't have personality. Some people have very low characters. But that's just a sense of critical thinking, judging people. But everybody has this character and personality. Everything has spirit. That's Annieism, right? Everything has spirit in it. Everything has a personality, a character, a personality. So they say, what's the character, personality of a rock? Well, observe a rock. What's the perspective of a rock? A rock has certain properties, right? it has a personification of certain properties, how it's formed and what it does and how it's utilized, right? It has certain properties. Everything has properties in it. You can break everything down to particles, you know? So that's what character and personalities are, you know? What else? Again, remember, this is the throne. This is represented by Isis, the throne. And here is where you gain your insight. And certain schools teaches you of how to certain look at here. See, it's like a mushroom. You can see that. I know you'll see. Well, yeah, sorry. What's going on here? What is this about? Okay. I know you can see that. If you're looking at this, right? Yeah. See? Oh, what's going on here? See that? The optic chism right here, the pineal gland. Okay? But remember, they're not showing the fibers that reaches out to those areas. You know, what I'm looking for. I'm gonna look up at the what is the doctrine? Mm-hmm. Look at this. So melatonin and its precursor, the serotonin, which are derived chemically from alkaloid substance, tryptamine, are synthesized in the pineal gland along with other brain sites. It also produces neurosteroids. Look at the word neuro in there, neurons, steroids. You get these neurons on steroids. And this is where you get the DMT, the hallucinogenic compound presented that you also find in the Amazon, from the ayahuasca, stuff like that, DMT. But we have natural DMT. So this is where it produces it right here. And lucid dreaming, astral projection, lucid dreaming and dreaming. It's when this particular gland is secreting certain chemicals, that it all comes from, again, the electromagnetic spectrum. We could break that into deeper. Yeah, I got some information. I just don't have it here right now. There's so much I can go into more. You just have to look it up and read up on it, because this has a lot to do with your perception, has a lot to do with your visualization, and your imagination, being creative. This is where creativity comes from, being imaginative. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to stay on here too long. Got things I got to do. I decided that maybe I should just come on here and swing some stuff over. So yeah, a lot of times you can perceive certain things and it's really just an illusion. So you have to sort of excuse me 1 second. Sorry about that. It just turned out to be a scam, likely. Let me pull up my chat, see who's on here on the chat. Seems like no one's on here. Jesus. It's okay. I know I'm live on here. Am I live? Jeez, what's going on? You know, there's been a lot happening that is beginning to get me a little upset. The way Facebook is operating here. Let's see. I'm trying to see my live, and I can't find it. I am live, and I am on Facebook, and I'm on YouTube. But how do I find it? Let me see. Let me go back. Go back. I'm trying to do this on my phone. So, again, there's so many different perspectives. There's so many people have carried so many different lenses of how they see things. Okay. And sometimes you have to clean the lenses and you have to inspect very good. And you have, you know what I'm saying? I can't get it. I don't know what's going on with, I can't see Facebook. Something's not right here. Now, more and more, something's not right. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I'm looking at my profile. My Facebook doesn't even show up. Unbelievable. Let's see. Let me look up here. My face here. Just excuse me 1 second. I see it here, but it's not appearing on my phone. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I am live on Facebook. So. But anyway, this natural ability, again, this nature, remember nature is a condition that the suns, the solar bodies, the celestial bodies, the galactic, created conditions on certain planets, on solar systems, and then planets, this conditioning. And this is what we call nature. Actual conditioning, that help birth certain environments and certain parasites and particles. So these particles with nature birth what we call humanity. We can go into discussion on that later on, you know what I'm saying? But this ability in nature, this conditioning that the solar sun created us in our body, the etheric body, this electromagnetic body that we have. And this is what this is all about, is getting to get more accustomed, speak about it, and to harness these powers. Power of imagination. You know what I'm saying? When we're speaking about this particular energy that we have. And again, remember that right here is just showing it vertically, right? But this is just for teaching method. These spectrums are not, they're all interconnected with each other. All interconnected. If you was to put, to use certain devices to see these electromagnetic forces in the body, you would see it all entangled, what they call entanglement. It's all entangled. It's all stripped, very intricate, So for teaching method, what we do is, we put things linearly, either horizontally or vertically. You know what I'm saying? It's just for teaching method. You know, and then the body, it's superimposed. So remember, this pineal gland here is also connected to your sacral. You know what I'm saying? Your sexual organs, for one. Yeah, it was something I wanted to bring up. Let me see. There was something I wanted to bring up that shows the connection that this pineal gland has with the sexual organ. But anyway, that's you know, saying the reciprocal. We've spoken about that before. You know, how the throat with the solar plexus, the axis is the heart. Then you have the throat and the solar plexus. So this is a constant whirling, constant moving energy that's in your body. So when you look at your imaginations and you look at your perspective of things and all that, it also has to do, it also deals with your feel, your feeling, your sacral center, which is your center of feeling. What's felt. And so what's seen and what felt is the energy that's harnessed in our bodies. So you can have a very, you can feel certain things or object, and it transmits immediately into this perspective. My perspective of what I'm touching, my perspective of what I'm seeing, my perspective of what I'm hearing, my perspective of what I'm tasting, or my perspective of what I'm thinking. Because you see, it's another sense. That's what they say, people don't, common sense is not so common. Common sense, reasoning, that's another sensing ability. And that sensing ability has a lot to do also with feeling, what you feel in those spectrums. And of course, what is harnessed from the root with what you're eating, and has a lot. I always say foods are thoughts. You think or you perceive according to what you eat. If you're eating natural foods, if you're eating foods that are beneficial for your body, you're going to have a natural ability to perceive things. You're going to have a very healthy perspective. I hope that's making sense to you. It's clear. It's clear. So the root of it, the root energy, your finance, your sustainability, and your environment affects the sacral, and the sacral immediately is reciprocal to the pineal, to that area, your perspective of how you visualize things. Very, very, very important. I say the intakes of certain foods, very, very important. Some of, you have certain foods that are what they call spiritual debris. Creates this mindset, these thoughts that are not spiritually connected. It's called spiritual debris. It's not healthy. We'll go into that some other time. It's a little a nice seminar bill that Mitchell E. Gibson did on one of those presentations that he did. Very interesting. He spoke about Tritus, I think is the name of it. Tritus is for instance spiritual debris. Pork has this factor in it. A spiritual debris, alcohol, nicotine, also cemetery carry a sense. Because remember, cemeteries, those dead bodies are emitting gases, and it creates a spiritual debris. Now, there are people that are invested in that. There's people that hold certain parties and festivals and stuff like that around cemeteries. In cemeteries, there's organizations that do that because they absorbing the spiritual debris. That's the way they operate. That's their character and personality. You know. Anyway, let's. Uh, I'm trying to still get into my, so I can view what's happening. Oh, here it goes. Hey, I got nope. Yeah, hey, I got it. All right, let me bring it down. Yeah, no, well, there's only one person on here listening. I bet you that's my beloved. I love you. You know, but yeah, you know. So again, how you feel, what you feel, and your sexual practices also affect your perspective of things and your vision and your perspective on things. And that's the metaphysical part. Physically, we know that. The orgasm, everything is felt here also. You know, for the men, the sperm travel in order, it has to be hit by the electromagnetic forces it hit in order when the sperm comes out to be ignited so that when it fertilizes the eggs, the light ignited. You know? And so, you know, orgasm, you know, this little, what they call penis, a clip, the pineal gland in your brain erects itself and it has orgasm. You can have a euphoric state because it's reciprocal. You know? Think about that. So it's getting to recognize, to harness these, you know, like they say, how do we work with this? Well, there are certain visualizations, there are certain skills. I can't tell you some of it right now. Some of it was taught in the Sons of the Green Light and Order of Melchizedek and through these Nuwapian schools, you know, mystical schools and certain schools out there have certain skills and practices. Now, let me bring something up here. Also, in this perspective, you know, is where we go beyond what we experiences, right? Remember, this is an octave nerve. It's receiving energy from the electromagnetic spectrum, from the source, sun power, solar power in your body, right? And it interprets it, it sees these electromagnetic forces. And what happens is it activates that sense of you to go to transcendent, and also to go beyond. It has that capability to view things that are beyond, to connect with, you gain this information from a source that is beyond the earth. It's sitting beyond, and it's getting, that sun is getting information from all the constellations. So all of that is funneled when your mind is clear, or not your mind, when your neurons are clear activated, okay, everything is in tune, then this perspective, your throne, you take your seat on the soul, you take your seat on your throne, and you begin to visualize and go beyond. And also in this, we have the sense of infinity. And let me bring up the sign of infinity. Interesting. Yeah. Well, before I do that, I want to speak about, introduce people don't, um, this sign of infinity. Let me bring it up. Let me share. To understand, let me share this first. Share. Yeah. Okay. See that sign in the infinity symbol? Right? Let me bring something else up. Um, this infinity symbol, well, let me hold on 1 second. I don't think I can bring both up. It's looked like a figure eight. Also, when you look at the back over here, I have it in a different form, like almost like a figure eight. And I have it over here at the symbol of music, tones, the frequency of the treble clef. You know what I'm saying? So this, I don't know if anybody, well, if anybody's into tarot cards or yeah, tarot cards and stuff like that. The symbol of this infinity, I should have brought it up in the tarot card, is dealing with the magician. Now, there was a little critical, these are for my Sabian brothers and sisters. We talk about Dr. Malachi Z. York when he did the possession of Osiris, right? And for a long time, he was teaching about realization. And before they built the in Eatonton, Georgia, the pyramids and stuff like that, in Eatonton, Georgia, in the compound. If you look at his namus, or not namus, but his crown, his Cyrus crown, you see the symbol, infinity symbol on it. Excuse me. You see that symbol on there. Just look real good. That's because, again, he's taking his throne and the realization, the creativity, the imagination was a very important part in building, constructing and building this compound. Right? Now, you can't refute that. He was playing the magician. The magician has the ability of balancing insight with illusions and bringing forth creativity. So I just wanted to show that so you can see, but this infinity symbol, that is mathematical expression, modern symbolism, strength. Yeah, so you see that this sign and a lot of several tarot cards and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Here's the references. And this is Wikipedia. People don't like Wikipedia, but I like it because it gives you also sources, references that you can go into. So like there's sources and stuff like that. But there's something else I wanted to bring up. Let me move that. Something else I wanted to bring up. And that is, where is it? Here you go. Oh, Morbius strip. Now this is a different Morbius strip, but I wanted to bring Morbius strip. This is the triangle Morbius strip. Jesus, I can't find it. Man, let me look it up here. Excuse me a second. Morbius strip. Let me see. Okay. Images of Morbius strips. I'm just going. Oh, here we go. Here you go. Let me share this and show you what I'm looking at. Show you what I'm looking at because I kind of like go on the internet and look up certain things. Let's see. Oh, here. You see that? Yeah. Here you go, Morbius strip. So you see this right here. So what it represents, again, perspective, is the outer becomes the inner, and the inner becomes the outer. So the information, the information you receive becomes your inner insight. But now your insight can become your reality. You can create your reality. That's using the power of Morbius strip. Over here, this is a mathematical. This was used even in ancient times. It's just a German was able to uncover it. You know what I'm saying? Morbius is a German physicist, a mathematician. But the equation of this would be the serpent eating his tail. You know what I'm saying? The inner of the tail and becoming the outer. Well, that's a poor example. I would have to really go in. Well, I'm going to leave that there because the next couple of broadcasts that I'm going to do after I finish with the two more that are left. After I finish that, I'm going to go really deep into the hieroglyphics and the Kemet hieroglyphics and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And look at all these natural ability, because the Cometian, the children of Cam, the land of Cam, Saba also, they were invested in observing natural nature and nature. You know what I'm saying? So they inscribed a lot of their findings and expressed that in what? In art, in visualization. So we're going to look in clues on each one of these energy center and how it relates to a lot of the hieroglyphic. We're going to go dig deep into that. You know what I'm saying? That's just something that's on my table right now. But here you have Morbius strip. Get to know that. Look it up. Read up about it. And it is, again, when you look at it, is the outer band becoming an inner and the inner becoming an outer. And this is the symbol of infinity also. And this is the actual practice of perspective. Everything you see on the outer is the inner. You see it in the inner. Everything on the inner becomes your outer. So it's perspective again. Here is where we harness this ability to do that. You know? So all the information we're receiving from the electromagnetic forces that we're receiving, right? We see it, we visualize that information to different perspective. Insight, we gain insight. Yeah. What's up? My uncle's watching. Hey. I'm just having a moment over here, just, studying, looking at things, and I'm speaking about this particular area, this particular power this particular ability naturally that we have, and it's the ability to imagine, the ability to perceive things. You know what I'm saying? And knowing how to again, wisdom is at the core of this. So sometimes you have a perspective that is not right in the history of things. Wisdom is knowing what's right and wrong in the history of things. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you can have a wrong perspective. So we have to weigh it out. You got to really think it over. You have to weigh it out. And these are exercises that we might have. You know what I'm saying? One good exercise is to imagine, again, visualize Morbius strip and realize that information that you're receiving are information that becoming inner, and that inner will become an outer perspective. It's afferent both ways. And that's what creativity is all about. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, let's see. So that's Morbius strip. Yeah, when you look at it. Interesting. When I read up on about it, I had a nice book about Morbius strip. It was really, really, really interesting. And I started getting into it because I started saying, wow, this is all mathematical. This is all engineering. Engineers use this concept. I was always intrigued with mathematics. I love mathematics. Especially this type of mathematics, which deal with trigonometry, geometry and trigonometry together. Trigonometry. I got all the way up to trigonometry. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to get into calculus, but I think I left school at that time. I couldn't really get into the calculus. But you had algebra, then you had geometry, and then when you put both algebra and geometry together, then you get trigonometry. With dealing with cosines and sines and stuff like that, and those equations. And then when you get into trigonometry, you go into the calculus, which is dealing with that's another animal, man. That's the mathematics is like the language of the cosmos. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, this ability that we have, this natural ability that we inherited from nature, from this electromagnetic, from the source, okay? Some say God, in lack of a better term. Some say Allah. Some say Obatala, Father up high. Different names, but we're not going to go into that. But in reality, what it is that there's electromagnetic forces, spectrums that we inherit from the connection that we have with our sun, and all the constellations. That's when you get into more, that's going beyond. That's Star Trek. We're going to go beyond. You know what I'm saying? And when you go beyond it, again, Morbius strip, it becomes that outer band becomes your inner. And then your inner expressing to the outer, you become resonating. Don't say quick, because that's another power. Very close. Your that energy is very close to how you resonate. And remember, all these electromagnetic abilities, the forces that we have, are all interconnected. You know what I'm saying? Are all interconnected. And it has a lot to do with foods you eat. And it has a lot to do with the environment you live in. It has a lot to do with the way you're having sex and the way you practice sexual practices. It has a lot to do with how you will your boundaries that you're setting, right? Again, dealing with environment. And again, how you share it. Because the axis of it all is the heart center, which is the heart center which shares, gives and receives, right? What they say, love or caring, which is actually sharing. I like that word better, share. I share. I don't love. When you really love or in love, you share. You know what I'm saying? You share what you have. You know what I'm saying? And it's both ways. You know, that's real connection. That's the axis. You know what I'm saying? That meets all of the conscious and the subconscious meet here at this axis, this barrier. And then when that's opened up, then you share it with the world. You share it with your spouse. You share it with everyone around you. You know what I'm saying? And we'll speak more heavily into that when we talk about other sciences like Christianity, Christian science, Judaism, and Mohammedism. You know what I'm saying? All those different sciences have this speaks about that, alludes to that, because this is cosmic energy, etheric. This is cosmic energy in our body. But we're speaking about this energy, this center that we had that allows us to perceive this cosmic energy, allows us to perceive our feelings, allows us to perceive everything. Visualize it. So this visualization is at the core. This is it. And again, remember the practice of a Mobius strip. Wow, my door just flung open. The wind, there's a lot of wind. It's beautiful weather. I mean, it's overcast, it's raining. I like rain. I don't know. We're in spring, so you know, a lot of the trees are beginning to bud, and a lot of the it needs rain. I see a lot of the trees budding now, coming up. It's beautiful. It needs rain and it needs wind, pollination, wind, and I see a lot of bees out here getting busy. This is the time to get busy, y'all. Think like the bees. That's a good school. Get busy, get busy. You know what I'm saying? This is the time to get busy. You know? So yeah. Ooh, nice breeze. I'm getting a nice breeze over here, y'all. I'm enjoying that. You know, the wind just shoo, shower, shoo, shoo. I spoke about how certain languages, ancient language were again resonating, echoing certain. Again, there's a lot of perspective too, and a lot of resonating electric waves at the receiving, and so they mimic it. So you got shoo, shoo. When you listen to the leaf, you listen to the wind, it shoo, shoo, shoo. That's the wind. Shoo. That's my middle name when it in the Kemet school of thought. You know, I'm a member of ancient Egyptian order, Ayo, and God, in that order. Oh, sorry, what happened here? I lost my camera. Hello, what happened? I lost my camera. But anyway, I got to get an avatar put up here. Yeah, my camera was unplugged. How the hell was my camera unplugged? Anyway, I'm going to leave it here. It's starting to get a little windy. I got to probably close these windows. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, shit. I didn't realize that it started to rain out here. It's got water coming into my window. Anyway, I'm going to leave it here, man. I appreciate, I hope, that those are going to view this later, just give me some. This is strange. My computer's acting strange. That I hope that, those who view this later are going to, give me some feedback and let me know. All right. So this energy, the brow. It's the perspective, visualization, and we spoke about the infinity sign, and then especially the Mobius strip, which is like infinity sign, Mobius strip. You know what I'm saying? Your inner thoughts become your outer thoughts because your outer thoughts are really your inner thoughts. You know, that's Afro. So that's where it's all at. Anyway, peace and blessing. I'm out.